Hello there. This is Lisa Starr welcoming you to another episode of StarrCast, where we speak with professionals in the wellness world. And today we are very lucky to have with us Gustavo Albanesi. Gustavo and I have known each other for, I don't know, 10 years maybe. And he owns a chain of spas in Brazil called Buddha Spa. I've lost count how many there are, but he'll fill us in. He is also president of the Brazilian Spa Association. But Gustavo started in the finance world. So I thought it would be interesting to hear about his journey. So thank you for joining us today, Gustavo.
Hi, Lisa. Thanks for the invitation.
Absolutely. So let's go back to when you were a young teenager. I think your father worked in finance, right? What did you see as your future at that point?
Well, that's true. My father used to work at the financial market, and well, I didn't envision myself at the time before school, before high school, and things like that. I wasn't imagined to work in financial markets, so I ended up studying at law school. So my first degree is a bachelor's in law.
Mm-hmm.
And in the middle of the, I always like to invest in financial markets, so in stock exchange and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I wasted all my money when I was a kid in that, so I learned to do it. And when I was in law, I started to work with the taxation of financial operations. And that I ended up getting more interested in financial operations than in the law itself. So I started to search for a course and a specialization, post degree in finance outside
Mm-hmm.
of Brazil. So I ended up studying in Berkeley,
Oh,
finance in
excellent.
Berkeley, and that I got into very deep into the financial market and at that point. And then I started to work at the Bear Stearns in San Francisco as an investment banker.
Wow.
And I came back to Brazil and I started to work at Credit Suisse here. So I kept working as an investment banker here. So that was
How
the
many
time I
years was
was,
that? How many years were you working in this
well,
finance world?
there was for around 4 years. It
Mm-hmm.
was from 2004 to 2008.
Mm-hmm.
And so
2008, not a good year for
yeah,
the
yeah.
finance
You
world.
know that I just dropped the financial market like 2 or 3 months before the crisis. So there was like a very lucky and fortunate decision at that time, even though I didn't know about it. But so I used to work a lot, like 100 hours a week. So it was a crazy
Wow, that's
schedule.
crazy.
Yeah.
So
And
what happened next?
yeah, well, before in 2001, we opened a spa in Brazil. That was my father's decision, and it was
Mm-hmm.
like his business. He said, "Okay, I invest. I'm going to." I was at the university at that time, so he said, "Okay, I have an opportunity here. What do you think about investing in a spa business here?" And I got you my partner, and I'm gonna give you 5% of the total share of the company. So, but you're gonna have to manage it. Say, okay, that was
Okay.
like I started to work on that and see there wasn't even any financial, any spa market in Brazil. There was really brand new something that people didn't even know what it was. The well-being and wellness wasn't even a word that I used to use at that time. People didn't know too much about massage. Brazil was
Mm-hmm.
much more about aesthetics and beauty procedures. So we were like, even if we're not the first, one of the first day spas in that point of Brazil. But there was always a parallel business. We never imagined at that time that would become our main business, or we would focus on that. And then when I would start to work in the financial segment, that was even harder for me to manage the spa. So we hired like managers for that.
Mm-hmm.
But I always liked that. So when I was doing road shows outside Brazil, in Europe, in US, in Asia, I always took time to visit different spas and to get some
A little
ideas,
inspiration along the way.
operations, ideas, service standards, and everything like that. So that made me all the time introduce new things at Buddha Spa here in Brazil, and that started to do well and start to grow. We start to become a reference here in Brazil as a spa, and that wasn't even a big thing. But in 2008, I decided to change position. You know that when I was doing the all the IPOs and M&As and everything like
Mhm.
that, we always helped the entrepreneur to make money, to grow, and I always look and kind of said, well, I want to be in
I want
his
to be
share.
that entrepreneur,
Yeah,
right?
in his share right now, because he's the responsible. The entrepreneur is responsible for making things happen. To give
Mhm.
jobs, to make the economy to advance and things like that. So I always wanted to change positions. Okay, I'm helping him right now, but I want to exchange that. So in 2008, there was the time that Buddha Spa was growing. We had at that time two spas. We already opened another one, 2005, and that was doing really well. I said, okay, I'm gonna quit this job and I go to the spa market. At that point, everybody said I was crazy. I was like earning too much in the financial business. They say, okay,
Mhm.
you're going to a small business, a spa, nobody knows about it. That what are you doing with your decision?
And
I
why
said,
did you? I mean, because you're right. In Brazil, it was all about aesthetic clinics,
yeah.
and the spa was not a thing. So, what made you make that decision?
Yeah, what I saw at the time is that the spa market was growing. It was like a very tiny thing compared to what it could be, and always traveling outside. I look at the US, I look at Europe, I look at Asia. You cannot even count in. I say, okay, the world is coming to this point and it's getting more developed. Why not Brazil? I know
Hmm.
one day we'll get there and you get closer to what's happening with the culture of people related to wellness and massages outside Brazil. So I decided to go to this market.
Well,
But
that's the value of travel, isn't it?
yeah,
Because you see what's happening in other places that you can bring back and modify for your own market.
definitely. But the thing is that I used to work around like 90, 100 hours a week, every day, Sunday, Saturday, every day. But when I came to work at Buddha Spa, like it was like 5 p.m. and I had nothing else to do. I started to get crazy. I think, oh, how come I need to get something? I need to get something. I took like create and understood that the world doesn't advance in that timing that I had before. So I started to do different things. Then I create my own family office firm. We start to invest in other things. We start to invest in fish business, in tech business, in other
Hmm.
segments, and I start to have a position in the council of the board of other companies, and then things were growing. After 2 or 3 years or 4 years, I said, okay, now I'm full. I'm also working again my 100 hours, my quality of life and my focus that I wanted to quit before and to do something with my purpose, which is work for people, for me, to give wellness to the world and things like that. So, okay, I ended up being at the same point I was before. I was earning money again. I was having all the time. I created a spa week in Brazil. I started to be the president of the Brazilian Spa Association. I started to create franchises as Buddha Spa. I started to invest in other segments. That was like, okay, I'm full right now. I need
You're
to step
just
back.
too restless. You can't
Yeah,
just have one job.
that was the process. So in around 2012 and 13, I decided, okay, I need to step back and to focus on my purpose, on what I really want to do, on my life, on my business and everything. And Buddha Spa was already growing and doing well at that time, but it wasn't that enough. It wasn't like really going. So
Hmm.
I said, okay, but I don't care. I quit. I decided to sell my participation in other businesses. I decided to not be so active as in my other positions I had. I decided to focus my 80% of my time at Buddha Spa. And that's impressive how things change after you put some focus and energy in something that you really want to do with purpose. At that time, there wasn't even a year after the Buddha Spa started to grow a lot. It started to do really well. The franchise started to launch up. So everything started to do well. So there, now looking backwards, I see there was a very smart decision when I decided to quit other things and focus mainly on what I do right now.
So you said that was 2012 when you sort of started to focus on Buddha Spa. And at that point, how many locations did you have?
Seven or so, six
Uh-huh.
or
And did you
seven.
own them or were they franchises or was it a mixture? When did you
I
start the
own them.
franchising?
Yeah, I started in 2009 to 2010.
Hmm.
And at that time, we owned four Buddha spas. And then we started to franchise and test the business because the business wasn't that developed and the spa market wasn't that developed as well. So there was something slow. We're trying to figure out to learn with the franchise business
Mm-hmm.
because the franchise is another different school that I had to
Yes.
learn about and to understand the profile of the franchisee, what are the aspects or strategic aspects we need to look after. And so we are learning about that. In 2013, we already had only four different franchisees. There was a small growing business at that time.
And so, how many are there today?
We have 40 Buddha spas. We have
40. Hmm.
yes, and three under construction, three new spas under construction. Um, Before the pandemic, our prediction it was to open around 10 Buddha spas per year. This year, after the pandemic, we figure out a totally change in culture and the new search for a business, new search for well-being. We now are expecting 20 new spas this year in 2001. So we
20.
doubled, yes, 20 new. Our expectation is to sell 20 franchisees, maybe when they open already 15, 14, 16 or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. But we
Mm-hmm.
need to grow at least 50% of our business in the number of spas this year.
How many are still owned by you, Gustavo?
Only one.
Only
Only
one.
one.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because we need to have our own fully owned location, which is our lab where we test and
Sure.
learn. But there's a very totally different focus, so we decided to focus on franchisee instead of on more locations.
So, in your franchise model, do your franchisees adapt a menu and a product line and sort of your guidelines, or do they have a little freedom to innovate on their own?
No, that is everything is very standardized. So we
Mhm.
have all the menu of services and products and protocols and uniforms and decorations and everything is standardized. So the person can get into a Buddhist spa and say, okay, that's a Buddhist spa
Mm.
in all the ways, especially because we have a responsibility of training all the professionals. And not only in the beginning, they pass through around 1.5 month training, only full day before having the first client. Then after 6 months, they have more training. They have online platforms. So we standardize and follow them very strictly. We have spas on streets, inside shopping malls,
Mhm.
inside hotels, inside gyms. So we have larger
Mm.
and smaller locations, but all of them, they have same pattern on everything.
So, what have you learned from having all those different outlets for the spas? Which do better in terms of profit margin? You know, are the ones in malls better, or street level, or hotels? What are you finding?
That's a very. I don't have this exact answer because there really depends. There really depends on the location. They have all of them. They have the same business models. However, they have uh, different ways of delivering the return on investment. For example, when you go to a spa in a street or inside shopping malls, they have higher investment, and they also have the return is from 30 to 36 months. They have the total capital return. However, the internal rate of return in 5 years, which is the duration of the contract, they are higher than the others. For example, in gyms. In gyms, they invest in smaller capital and
Hmm.
also most of the times in hotels. Then hotels depends. There are some huge operations and smaller ones. But for example, in gyms, they invest a smaller amount and they have the return on equity in around 24 to 30 months.
Hmm.
However, the internal rate of return in 5 years there is lower than the
Mm.
inside shopping malls and streets because they have a higher capacity of
Sure.
delivering revenue, especially after the second year when they ramp up. So they're very similar. They have we adapt the opportunity according to the potential investment capital possibilities and about our opportunities. But now we are focusing especially on streets and shopping malls, which is the
Hmm.
most important opportunities we have now.
Do your franchisees are there ones that own groups of spas, or are they all just owning one?
Yeah, we have franchises with two, three, four, and five different
Hmm.
locations. So we
Hmm.
have people with more than one. Now, actually, the only four. We have two franchises with four, and some others with three and two different
Hmm.
locations.
And are they all in Sao Paulo, or are you spreading out in Brazil?
No, we are spreading out. We have São Paulo. Out of the 30 locations, we have 22, I believe. That out of the 40 locations, we have 22 or 23. And then you have in Rio de Janeiro and Curitiba, Vitória, São
Hmm.
Paulo countryside, and the central, the north of Brazil, some other different locations as well.
So, Gustavo, what do you think has made this so successful? Was it just a matter of being in the right place at the right time, or do you think that your financial acumen really helped this growth? Or is it both?
I think there are three things, I believe. First, uh, the business was very well structured. I think because of our background on finance and helping and giving consultancy to companies, how to grow their business and understanding the most successful companies, how they are structured in terms of financial effort, P&L, people, strategy, and things like that. So since the beginning, I was very careful in structuring a solid business, which is not
Hmm.
just put money and depends on I don't know what to get your return. So it's very specific on that. Second, we have been investing and doing really well about the Buddha Spa brand in the market. So not only the brand in marketing terms, which we invest a lot, and everybody knows Buddha Spa in Brazil, and
Hmm.
they know as a very differentiated service and things like that. So that was coupled with their quality. We invest a lot in quality of the therapists, and the therapists can have very big training, and so we are focused. We have the stronger team. There's a technical team which follows the therapists during their career. They have a career path plan inside Buddha Spa, so it really created the brand and make it stronger. And at last but not least, I would say that the market and the culture in Brazil helped a lot because we didn't have this culture and helping people, helping spas to grow. After since 8 or 10 years, I would say not maybe 8 years or so, people started to understand the spas as a part of their well-being and start to
Hmm.
invest then, and so the culture started to develop. So it helped to push all the spa market overall.
Yeah, I love how you've applied all the lessons from your university and schooling in finance to the business model because that's something we don't always see in the spa industry. And it's not a bad thing, but many are sort of passion projects of an owner who doesn't always think about the big picture like you did. And you were in a market that was probably ripe for that because there were a lot of small family owned and run businesses, but not a lot of systems and structure.
That's true. That's definitely true. Yeah.
So what's the future look like now? I mean, we had a pandemic. You've had to close. How long were your spas closed last year?
Well, last year for 4 months or
Wow,
so. That
it's a long
depended
time.
on the region of Brazil. Some of them a bit longer, some that are shorter than that. And at this time, we are shut down for around 10 days. And by the end of the month, we're still going to keep shut down. In Sao Paulo, some other locations, we are still open.
And then do you expect a difference post pandemic? How are the open spas doing compared to their normal year, like say 2019?
There's something, Lisa, that really surprised me. I was expecting that we were going to have a bull market for the spas. However, it happened faster than I thought. After we opened the spas in August last year, in September our spas were already better than we were before the pandemic. So we recovered really fast. And the same happened in October, November, December, January. February started to slow down because of
Hmm.
the second wave, second problem of the
Hmm.
COVID, and now we are in the same level as last year because we're shut. And March last year we were all shut down as well. But one thing that I felt is that at this point in pandemic, people started to get more worried and care about themselves more to make their choice wisely for themselves and for their well-being.
Hmm.
So we decide to choose which is our better work for us, which helps our health better. We started to eat better. We start to understand that the exercise we cannot live without the exercise. We start to exercise at home. We started to cut expenses that wasn't important for us. We started to cut relationships that were not important. So we started to select what was better for us. And the spas, they're in the core of that because we deliver wellness, we deliver what's best for people. So that really helped our businesses, and the recovery is doing really well. That's why we even expect now more openings of spas in this year of 2001. And what I see is this trend getting stronger, there's no going back. People
Mm.
every time they're gonna look more for wellness. And then I see a very Brazilian culture of spas. It's starting to narrow the international culture of spas, which for a long time was like very distant one from each other.
Hmm.
But now we're starting to get closer because the pandemic may kind of put everyone the same level, everyone the same needs. So I see that the people need wellness definitely. And one thing that I understand, which is happening with the development of science and technology, what I see that might happen in the next couple of years is that the changing of I want to go to spa to I need to go to spa based on scientific proof, based
Hmm.
on
Evidence.
genetic
We have evidence
evidence,
now.
epigenetics, exams. They
Hmm.
say, okay, for you have this kind of profile, this kind of epigenetics. You need to eat this type of food. You need to do this exercise. You need this therapy twice a month or 4 times a month. You cannot do a shiatsu. You prefer like reflexology. You cannot drink this kind of tea. This is bad. So we are going to have a scan, a body scan, and a well-being scan with the development of new technologies and new analysis that we can see developing in especially many big startups over all the world. We are going to start having this understanding for our Apple Watch, for our daily business. So
Hmm.
we are going to start to get to know what's better for us and what we exactly need to do in terms of wellness, in terms of spas, in terms of massage, in terms of well-being, which is going to be very mathematic path, so we can get better after a while and after we do that thing. So I really believe that wellness and the spas are going to follow, maybe not too close, but in the next couple of 5 or 6 years, we're going to start to have some spas doing like a sheet of what is the better for you, the best for you, and
Hmm.
here what you have to do based on your exams or something like that.
So, will you be changing the menu at Buddha Spas? Are you introducing any new technologies or treatments based on this trend?
Not right now because I'm not sure what kind of new offers we would need to have in order to deliver this need, which is not even a actual need right now, which is what I envision for the near future. But maybe yes, maybe I would need to do some different changes, not only in the offers, but especially maybe in the experience in this path. What I also
Hmm.
see is that we are people they need each time more a personalization of the service and the product, but I feel that people want to make part of that personalization. I mean, they want to understand. For example, we are launching now at Buddha Spa. We launched last year a new private label line with Buddha Spa as aromatherapy and
Hmm.
essential oils and teas and lavanda eye
Oh,
pillows and things
wonderful.
like that. So we have as a complementary offer in the Buddha Spa. There's a new business that we're putting together, Buddha Spa. Now what we're creating is that after the person book a massage, they will have the option to arrive 30 minutes before, and they will do their alchemy, and they will co-create the massage oil they will use in the massage based on what they need. So
That's
they're going to be
excellent.
a consultant, and this consultant will say, okay, what do you need? There's going to like a fulfillment of some
Hmm.
questions. Okay, you need this, so I will recommend that you mix this massage basic oil with this essential oil, so you're going to feel better, and the person is going to touch that and understand and feel. So that is going to create a different level of sense with the massage. So the massage with the personalization co-created by the person. I see some future trends going toward this
Oh,
thing.
very much so. I mean, I love that idea. I think it will be very popular when people play a part in crafting that and they feel it's customized and bespoke in that way. It makes it very special and it also bonds that client to your business.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. That's something what you really believe in right
Well,
now.
it's so impressive what you've built, Gustavo. I'd want to ask you about the Brazilian Spa Association that you are president of and you have been for some time. Is that growing as well?
Yeah, we changed one of my strategies when I decided to reduce the level of engagement in other activities and focus on Buddha Spa is that I transformed the Brazilian Spa Association strategy less than acting as a helper to the spas and more like an institutional entity which have a relationship with the government, with the
Mm-hmm.
public entities, and to studies and to guides, and more like information entity than what we did before. Before we had like congresses, which were part of the our congress here. We had many. We started. We helped the spas to develop strategy on very standalone basis for themselves. We did many things about to this market, but now we act more like a institutional partner and guider to many things that have happened in Brazil. So I reduced my activity in this, and the board of the spas association also reduced, but we still very focused on developing the spa market and creating relationships based on our entity of spas.
Well, I wish you'd have another live conference. I so enjoyed the one that I was fortunate enough to come to. I don't remember when that was, 2011 or 2012, but it was
Yeah, more
excellent.
10 years ago or so. Yeah, it was
Very
long.
vibrant spa market.
Yeah.
So, thank you for sharing all of this expertise. I want to, in closing, ask you two questions. One is, it doesn't sound like you have any spare time, but what do you do in your spare time when you have some?
I love cigars. I love a
Ah,
cigars group. So we try to meet at least once a week. Now we can't meet anymore because of the pandemic. But I went to Cuba, went to many factories of cigars. So I really relax when I have this networking and relationship with friends that enjoy cigar as well. That's my personal occupation when I'm not occupied. So, but mainly I love to travel with my family. I have two small daughters, one
mhm.
5 years old, another 1 year old, and my wife Lara. We love to go to different places and visit international places in Brazil and to engage with family experience. That's my hobby as well.
All of our hobbies that we can't wait to get back to. My last question, Gustavo, we all want to know, what are you investing in next? Because you're obviously spotting the trends before anyone else.
Yeah, we in terms of financial investment or
Yes.
yeah, I'm investing in this new project. Well, that's brand new. I'm gonna tell you now, which is kind of related to what I said about this alchemy of products and things. We are creating a brand called Buddha Lab. Buddha
Hmm.
Lab is a brand focused on products, less than services, but on products. We're gonna create. We're starting already to create essential oils, different types of body oils, focus on hair, on skin, and some teas and some everything related to wellness experiences. But we're not gonna only sell the products by the products, but we're gonna create an experience inside the store and inside people's place. So if you go to a store to look for something that we offer, you're gonna have an experience about the storytelling about where the essential oil came from. You're gonna touch the lavanda. You're gonna feel all that. You're gonna see many things, and then you can also even create your own nutrition hair shampoo, for example, with your alchemy of something that we will create and personalize for the person inside the store. And also we have an online subscription. The person receive once a month in a box in their place.
Mm.
Some every a month will be related to aromatherapy, another in skincare,
Hmm.
another shower products, and they will have to create their products based on the alchemy and the crafting that they are going to deliver based on the guidance that we're going to have. So it's
So, in
very
essence, like a customized subscription box.
customized subscription. That's
Hmm.
it. That's what I'm investing now, time and money in this new project.
And maybe in the future, cigar spas. What do you think?
Well, I think it'll be tough. I don't know if they match really well, but I don't discard the possibility.
Yeah, maybe just tobacco flavored treatments in the spa,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. I think so.
Well, Gustavo, thank you for driving this growth in the Brazil spa industry and for sharing your expertise with us today. I hope you can inspire some future entrepreneurs to join our industry.
Well, that was a pleasure, Lisa. Thank you very much for the invitation, and I hope we can see again each other soon.
Me
After
too.
this pandemic. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.